Hello crafters and welcome to Plan C, conversations about craft, creativity and connection. I'm Michelle Brown, Creative Director from Picture to Page and Beyond, and we are so excited to have you with us today. So Plan C is talking about crafting, how it fits in with our lives, the importance of creativity, and of course how we bring that all together as we connect with other like-minded people. For all the details, head over to our website from picturetopageandbeyond.com.au, and whether you're watching us live or watching a replay later, we would love to hear from you. So say hi in the comments, pop any questions there, and myself and my guests will do our very best to get to them. So today we are really excited for Plan C to welcome Alison from Kaszazz. Hello, Alison.
Hello, how are you everybody?
It is so good to have you with us again today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be sharing and crafting after another long day at work.
Yes. No. And so Kaszazz has been really busy with some new releases.
Absolutely. We've had our brand new March release, which is the Home Sweet Home, which I'm going to be using today. Plus then last week as well, we had one of the cutest releases I think I've seen, and that is the cute little pandas. So,
oh, how exciting. So before we jump into that, we'd love to learn a little bit more about you and how do you build creativity and crafting into your life?
So I craft every day. I think I've missed a total of one day this year
so
well
far. Done.
And I actually record it. So I kind of keep track of it just in a journal, just saying, what have I been working on? Mm-hmm. So whether it be some scrapbooking, some card making, some stitching, whatever it might be, just to kind of take that 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 hours, 10 hours, whatever it might be, just for me. So I find it's amazing, calming, fantastic.
Yeah, excellent. And do you find by recording your crafty time, it helps hold yourself accountable and you make that time?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's interesting reading back over it as to what have I been working on, how long has a project taken, the different styles I was using at that point in time or whatever it might be. So I think when I first started scrapbooking, I read somewhere to write, the date that you actually finished the layout, even just on the back. I think I might have done it for about a week and then I forgot. So by actually recording it, I am still keeping that record of it, just in a different location.
Yeah. And how long have you been recording your activity for?
Probably about, I'd like to say 2 or 3 years, but I figure it could be 3 or 4 years actually now.
Okay, wow. And what really made you just think that you needed to record your creating as well as doing just the crafty side of it?
It was a New Year's resolution, but the New Year's resolution, all crafters would probably understand, was to finish off a craft project each day. Those ones where you just need to stick down the photo or you needed to just, it would take you 5 or 10 minutes. I wanted to make sure I finished a project every day. That lasted about a week.
Right.
And then I got to, okay, why don't I just craft every day? And then I started recording it from there.
Yeah. And that's a really good point because I think sometimes when we set our expectations too high, and like you said, New Year's resolutions are a fantastic time for that. And we just think, our future selves are going to be so much better than our current selves or our past selves, and it's going to be great. But in a way that can become overwhelming and actually stop us. But sometimes if we set the bar really low, so like you said, it doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's something small each day, and then we grow confident with it and then gain momentum as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think if I recorded how often I cleaned up after my crafting, it would probably help as well, and my craft room would be a lot cleaner, but I don't do that.
Yeah, that certainly is a challenge, isn't it? I know Adam Savage in his book, Every Tool is a Hammer, he spoke about, laying out his workshop and spent a lot of time exploring different methods. And that was one of his commitments to himself, was to make sure that you tidied up at the end of the day so that when you came back, you had a fresh canvas. And it was one of those things which, you think sounds good in theory, but until you try it, and like you said, you're going into your craft room and the first thing you need to do is clear some space because you didn't last time, as opposed to actually finishing a creation and then spending a little bit of time packing away and then coming back. It's almost like, going into your room with a made bed at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think that I get better at it, and then I go through a phase where I'm not that good at it, and we'll just keep going with it.
Yeah, so. You get really complacent. And how often do you go back and look over your notes?
I probably go back over it even once a month or so, just kind of flick through and see what I've been working on and the journey that I've been taking. And, it's really interesting as to, how busy has my day been versus then what I'm going to be working on at night. I did try getting up earlier in the morning to work on some craft work before I went to work, but it's cold in the morning and I'm not really enjoying that right now. So that can wait again till summer.
Yeah, it's always a good time when we go back off daylight savings and you'll have that time of daylight in the morning again.
Yeah, so it may change, but I just enjoy it. I love reading back over what I've been working on and how long has it taken me to finish an album or whatever it might be.
And then do you use that reflection to change what you do into the future?
I do sometimes. Like I'll look at it and go, okay, I really was working on this scrapbooking at this point in time. Might be a travel album, might be an event or whatever it is. And so I'll actually start planning and go, okay, I now want to work on this.
Okay, yep. So use it to help forward plan. And again, that's the best way to do it based on your history, because if that is how long it took, then chances are it'll take about the same time next time.
Exactly. And I know for me, so I go away on a lot of retreats. I run retreats and things like that. And I can go back and I can look at it after a retreat. I've got that mojo and I will be in my studio every day for the next few weeks, because you build up that mojo, you're inspired, you want to finish those projects and things like that.
Oh, excellent. And speaking of retreats, that is a great way to connect. So that was my next question about how have you used your craft to connect with others?
So I love I run workshops and things like that, but it's going away with a group of like-minded people and just being able to sit there and talk and craft and not worry about anything else necessarily, because you're in that zone. And so it might be that a friend and I are sitting together scrapbooking and just sharing different things that are happening and ideas and showing each other and things like that. So definitely through classes and also through retreats.
And isn't it great when you particularly if you're using a similar range of products, but then see how someone can use it so differently to what you've done?
Absolutely. I'm going away with a friend later on this year, and we will be getting ready for our team training day at that point in time. And the two of us using the exact same products and coming up with two completely different ideas. So that's one of the best things about it. That's one of the best things about crafting with other people.
Yeah, it is amazing, isn't it? Excellent. Well, Alison, what have you got to show us today?
So today we're going to be creating the second page for this layout. So we're using the beautiful Home Sweet Home papers, some mixed media, the watercolour pens that Kaszazz have, stencils, some distress products, so the oxide, the distress ink, and the oxide spray, some stamping and all the rest of it to create this layout.
Oh, excellent. I must say, I really am excited to see how Kaszazz has expanded their range outside sort of where they originally were and just really encompass so many different things.
Absolutely. And I think the best thing about it is all of our stencils, all of the chipboard, the pattern paper, that's what stamps, they're all made on site in Adelaide.
Yeah.
So the stencils that we're seeing coming out at the moment are just fantastic. So many different uses. And if there were more hours in the day, I would probably be able to create more.
Excellent. Well, we'll let you get yourself ready and we'll jump into it. Excellent. Now, while Alison gets herself ready, we will just say hi to everyone that's watching. And like we said, if you do have any questions, pop them in the comments below and we will do our very best to catch up with you soon so we can make sure that you have got your questions answered. If you've got any questions about the products or, of course, Plan C or anything in general. And I think Alison is almost ready. I'd say we're ready to go. Okay, take it away, Alison.
Beautiful. So this is what we're going to create the second page. So I've got the other photos that go with this. When I originally made it, I actually cut out the center of the paper, but that to create the flag, well, I don't need to do that for the second bit because I've got the leftover flag. So we don't need to do that today. Whenever I cut out the center of a paper, I always just cut 10 to 2 the whole way around. I can remember those numbers, so that makes it really easy for me. I'm going to use, as I said, the watercolor brushes, the watercolor pan. If I can pick up my paintbrush. So these are relatively new for us, and I did a happy dance when I saw that they were coming onto our range. I was very excited. So the way I use them is I just spray the colours that I'm going to be using, and then I'm really lucky. I have a sink in my craft room, so I've already got out the glass of water, and then I'm just going to pick up some colour.
So Alison, do you find you need to soak the watercolours for long to activate them?
Not at all. Not at all. Like that, I only did, 3 to 5 sprays on them, and that's enough.
Right.
Yes, I'm also using the water in the glass, which I'm trying to put as far away from myself as possible, because I did spill a glass of water in here recently.
Surely not.
Thankfully, it was just after I'd actually cleaned up. So
Oh, just as well.
I was very proud of myself. But yeah, you don't need a lot of water in them. It's only if you, like I just did there, really want to lighten the colour a little bit. But they don't take much. I'm not using watercolour paper. I'm using just the SB paper. And I've found that it's I love it for watercolours. It's almost one of the best that I've used. So, yeah, was it this colour?
Yeah, it looks like it's going on really smoothly.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. And as you can see, I'm kind of going backwards and forwards over it and trying to overlap a couple of the colours to just kind of blend them a little bit as well. And what you can't see is my lovely towel that is also here that I'm wiping that paintbrush off on. So that's as simple as that is. Like, these are beautiful watercolours. A little goes a long way with them. I am that person that does need to put the lid on things when I'm finished using them, because I will knock it over. To dry it, I will be letting it air dry, but I'm just going to dab off some of the excess water that is on there, because I am about to do some stenciling over the top and things like that as well. While that dries, I am going to quickly put flags in these. I know that there are multiple ways that you can do it. I always find the easiest is to fold it in half a little bit, cut up, and then do this.
Oh, that's a good way of getting it even.
Yeah. And I always figure that the old saying of, well, if somebody riding by or driving by couldn't see that it's uneven, it's okay. Doesn't matter. And with this one, you actually cover up the centre anyway. With the other one, I'm actually using a page out of the new collage paper pad.
Mm-hmm.
So this goes with this collection.
Oh, what amazing flowers.
I love. And the best thing with this is you could actually, for most of this paper pad, you could do lots of fussy cutting with it. I'm not interested in fussy cutting the little succulents on that page, but others like, and the flowers here match the papers. We've got absolutely beautiful for a background, either on a card or on a layout. The butterflies.
Oh, and butterflies. You always need butterflies.
Always need butterflies. I was trying to work out a way to get them onto this layout. The flower sprays that you could cut out and put onto anything. This is the paper that I'm using. I love this one. Sayings. So you've got my happy place, home sweet home, moments to cherish, some kind of wonderful, relax, welcome to our garden. And then the beautiful houses.
Oh, fantastic.
That you could colour in. The leaves. This will match the stamps and chipboard that come with the resort collection as well. And some bunnies if you're wanting to do something Easter, or just if you're wanting to look at using some bunnies just in general. So that's the collage paper pad. It is beautiful. So that's where I got this from. It was, I just halved the piece that I pulled out of the pad.
And what a great idea of having some in black and white as well, so you could use them black and white or you could colour them yourself.
You can colour them in. I've got an idea running around my head at the moment for how I could use it. So how I can use the black and whites. I'm using, this is the mini stencils 3. So there are 6 little mini stencils on there, some numbers, some chevrons, honeycomb. I'll post the photo on my Facebook page because I know it's very hard to see his stars. And then I'm using this one here just to put a little bit of colour on here. Now I've chosen to use, I'm going to be naughty and use the same ink blending tool. I'm actually just using the tumbled glass distress ink. And the reason being is I wanted it to be a little bit, I wanted it to fade a little bit more in, and I knew that if I used the oxide, particularly because I have been very naughty and haven't dried this properly at all, I knew that it would oxidise and you would be able to see it a little bit more, whereas I found that this was really subtle just in the background.
Yeah, it is.
You can barely see it, which was my initial plan. But just there, just kind of in the background. You can see it, but not really. I'm using the Scribble background stamp, and again with the tumbled glass ink, and just to create just that little bit of subtle script stamp on there. There are words, but it's very hard to tell which way they go, whether I've got it the right way round or not, so you're fine. And in fact, I'm even turning my page around now, so it's just a bit of a scribble.
Yeah, I think I've got a script stamp or two that I've put an arrow on the back so you know which way it goes.
Yeah. It's like, it's only when you're stamping and it's that finished product and you go, uh-oh, I did that the wrong way round. That's a problem. I'm trying to think what else I did on here. The last thing that I have done is using the oxide ink, and I'll explain why I've used the oxide ink. Because I know as I blend around the edges of the darker papers, the oxide inks is actually going to show.
Right.
Whereas if I was to use the distress ink, it's not going to show nearly as well. I also find that blending, particularly around the edges of anything with oxide ink, it's so much more forgiving.
Oh, okay.
And so it's so much easier to use, particularly if you're new to blending or whatever else. It's easier. If you end up with a line on there, it's very easy to blend it out. I don't think it's coming through very well on camera, but you can see just this beautiful subtle blue around particularly the edge of this paper that matches the colours. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. Sometimes when you're just starting out, you don't realise that some techniques are sort of harder to master than others, and knowing that you've got an ink that's very forgiving can be really helpful.
Absolutely. And I think for this one in particular, that's what I found is, even though I've been ink blending for years, I've done a class with Tim Holtz through Kaszazz, it's still knowing that actually there are different tools for different things, and the oxide ink is brilliant for doing blending. Almost around.
So again, for everyone that's managed to get some oxide inks and doesn't always use them to their full potential, remember that they're great for blending.
Absolutely. Okay. That's it. Okay. So now I'm up to assembling. So I'm doing this as a double page layout. So I want that to go. Oh no, I'm going to flip it around for my right now. I'm usually pretty good, but now I know that I'm going to be covering up most of this little mixed media bit that I did over here, and that's fine. That doesn't bother me. It's in the background. It's more about the process. It's more about enjoying it, having a little bit of fun with it, seeing what you can create. And I think that's also something to remember. If you create a mixed media background and you think, what have I done? you can cover it up.
Yeah. So tell us about these photos that you're scrapping today.
So I'm actually scrapbooking my 2018 overseas holiday. So these are from Berlin.
Uh-huh.
And they're just some random photos that I took on one particular day. Some of it's the Berlin Dom, and then the others are the museum. I was meant to have finished scrapbooking this trip by the time we went back over.
Well, you have, because you haven't been there yet.
Correct. Thank you to COVID. I have a few more months up my sleeve to finish scrapbooking. Apparently that's not the case, but I'm still going. So.
Well, you would have been really behind if you'd travelled last year.
I think I spent one school holidays just in my craft room, finishing it off and trying to get as much done as I possibly can. I probably, if I knew I was going, I would have finished it.
Yeah. So is that a place you visit often?
I've been over 3 times now. I can safely say I haven't finished scrapbooking a single trip over there. Some further along than others, but I did spend 12 or 13 weeks travelling around in 2015. Right. So
nice.
I have 2 very expensive hobbies. One is travelling and one is crafting. Thankfully, they go hand in hand.
They do. And I'm sure we talked with a few different people about, just how great it was to relive your holidays when you scrapbook them, especially during lockdown.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I'll do. I usually go for a walk of a morning. Actually, who am I kidding? I always go for a walk of a morning. And I'll come in via my craft room at the end of it. And often there are days where I'll lose myself in my craft room because I'll come on in and I'll have a look and I'll just flick through an album. I'll pull anyone off the shelf and have a look and see what's happening. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. The other stencil I'm going to use is the amazing quote stencil. So this also came out in March. Mm-hmm. So we've got amazing, dreamer, brilliant, super, proud, wow, success, yes, winner, achievement. And I'm actually just going to use the brilliant. I'm not putting any more ink on my blending tool. And I also need to be really careful because I'm also not masking where I don't want to blend. So that's why I'm probably going a little bit quiet right now.
Now, you've stuck that white paper onto a background. Was the white paper already cut down or did you do that previously?
Oh, yeah. Look, the magic of television is I had cut it before we started. Okay. So it's cut to 11 by 11.
Right.
Yeah. So it's cut to 11 by 11. And I did that before I started. One of the reasons I did it before I started is not just because for time, but also I found whenever I do those mixed media backgrounds, if I cut it down beforehand, I know what I'm playing with, so I know how big that space is. If I don't, it doesn't matter. I can always, fix it up or cut it back down anyway. But the other thing that I'm doing is this is really nice and it fits really well. It looks great, but by going around with the pen, the black, it gives it so much more definition. I had the inner conversation with myself when I first did this. I should have actually only kind of outlined the letters so that it looked like the R or whatever it might be, even when you look at the B, kind of doing it, not the little inner bit, so that it was all one letter. It was too late. I'd already started. We're just going with how this looks now.
Yeah. But again, that's how we can add words if we don't really like our handwriting. You can use the stencil as that guide.
That's it. Stencils, stamps, type it out and print it out. But I think the one thing to remember is you might not like your handwriting, but somebody who gets your albums will. And I've been with family members when they've gone through their grandparents' scrapbooks that they didn't even know that they had created and seen their handwriting, not long after they'd passed away. And, that to me was absolutely, you've got to put your handwriting on those layouts because someone in your family is going to want to see that later on.
Yeah.
And it's that power of handwriting. So,
Yeah,
brilliant.
it's such a lovely reminder. And to get into the camera, in the front of the camera every now and then as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The last thing that I'm going to do before I stick my photos down is, when I first made this, I tried to do some I was doing some paint splatters with the watercolour pans. I'm going to try and shake this under the table. And then I realised that sitting across from me in my craft room was the oxide spray.
Well, there you go.
And I thought, hold on, if I just grab out the tumbled glass, then I've got all of the different tumbled glasses. It's just a little bit extra in the background. And I like doing this because I always think it brings it all together, particularly when you've got different layers of things. All of a sudden those splatters are, we're all one paper. So
yeah, and sort of splattering it like that, it gives it the look of randomness, but you have a bit more control over it.
Correct. And if you've already put your photos down and you want to put some of that on, you just need to be very careful. It's easy to do, and we've all put spray on after we've put our photos on, and also put spray on ourselves and our photos.
That is the challenge when it comes to spray.
Absolutely. So that's as quick as and easy as the background is of this. And now for me, it is just putting down some photos because it's all done. The background is done. I'm putting down the photo. So the way I store my photos for my travel albums is I actually put them in page protectors in the album. So
okay.
I'm not going to be able to see it. I just use, that was one of my trimmers falling down. I just use the page protectors that come 4x6 ones, put them in there in themes, put a little post-it note in there that tells me what the photo is and the date of the photo, so I don't need to look it up later. But that's how I make sure that this is the bit that's a little bit fun because I don't know where I'm going to put
Yeah,
all these.
notice you've taken the backing off the tape and you haven't quite laid them out. I like your dedication.
Yeah, my optimism that it's going to be fine. Yeah, that'll do. Yep, look, there we go. It was fine. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I forget. And the good thing with this tape is I can lift it up and it's okay.
Yeah.
I will be able to move it around a little bit. So, and I've always used a lot of tape. I just go with it. And even though I always figure, yes, I'm going to attempt to make sure that my double page is lined up across the page, but it also goes in a D-ring album. So if it's a little bit off, you're not really going to notice. So all done, except for I just will do a very, very basic white border just down these, just to get them to stand out a little bit more. That's what I have found with these.
Yeah, you can see it quite subtly, just gives it that differentiation between the two.
And I'm trying not to put too much on there, which sounds a little bit silly, but it's that case of, and I'm using like a dashed line on here because I do want it to be really subtle. I want it to just kind of not overpower everything that sometimes a white border can actually do when I've used the softs blues and purples and greens and things like that. So, and just a little bit more in here. And done.
That is amazing.
And I will write on it in a little while to say, no, actually, 15th of the 4th. 2018. Berlin. And that can go into my album.
As soon as that splatter's dry, you're ready to go.
That's exactly right. So I'll just flip it around so that you can see it.
And that watercolour just really adds something to it, doesn't it?
It does. It's absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful to colour in with, so on and so forth. And I really struggled to work out which papers I would use, because when you look at the papers, we've got the beautiful cut apart sheets, the houses. This is the one that I've used, and the back is just the beautiful leaves. Here's the scripty stamp.
That's so pretty, yeah. Oh,
and then this as well.
Yeah. And
very
so
powerful.
How do these papers come? Do you buy them individually or are they in packs?
You can buy them individually.
Okay.
So you can buy them in a pack, you can buy them individually, but they are beautiful. So love it. All made in Australia.
Yeah. Excellent. Oh, well, we'll let you come back up and tell us where we can find you. Excellent. So wasn't that amazing? Because what I really love about scrapbooking is that those techniques could be applied to card making and to art journaling. There was watercolours, there was stenciling, there was using stencils for words, there was blending, there was using splatter, and of course there's just so many ways of using those techniques in other ways as well. So whether it's scrapbooking, and of course when you've got watercolours, it's always good to try them on different surfaces because you'll get different results as well. So Alison, thank you so much for sharing that with us today.
Not a problem.
Excellent. So where is the best place for people to follow up if they want to know more about you and your workshops and retreats and Kaszazz?
So the best place to find me is through Facebook, Kaszazz with Alison, and similarly on the Kaszazz website you can also find me on there as well. So again, Kaszazz with Alison.
Yeah.
There. So very exciting. But I will put all of the links up on Facebook so that you can see it. My 2 retreats are up there as well.
And so when's your next retreat?
Next retreat is in May. That's just a couple of nights. And then my favourite retreat of the year is the last weekend in June. And it's 4 days, 3 nights.
Oh, wow.
It is phenomenal.
Yeah. And where are they held?
So the first one will be up at Warburton, and then the second one, the 4 days, is at Callista, and it is beautiful.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. So,
Yep. Excellent. And your workshops, have you got any planned for?
Yes, my next workshops will be in April. So I need to quickly think about it here. It's the 3rd Saturday, so the 17th of April. Yeah.
Yeah. And isn't it nice to be able to start planning these things again?
Oh, absolutely. That's my fingers are crossed for the 4-day retreat, because last year it got cancelled with 24 hours to go. So
oh no, I know. I think there's going to be a little bit of, I don't use the word trauma. I know that's very, it can be very overwhelming, but I think there is going to be that little bit of, we go to plan this and remember last year when this happened and we thought we were okay and then we weren't okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to take us a bit.
It will be fine. It will be fine.
Things are looking
and I will get 4 days of crafting and it's going to be great.
Yep. So do you have any structured classes during those days?
I do. So with the retreat, there is one class that I do that everybody does. And then I will be running workshops and demos throughout. We also introduced a little while ago a lovely happy hour, where we do a bit of a demonstration and might have something that we're eating or drinking that matches whatever I'm demonstrating.
Oh, what a great idea. So what are some of the themes you've had in the past then?
We've had, I was demoing Dilutions and we had a lovely fruit tingle. So all the beautiful colours of Dilutions with the lovely colours of fruit tingle. So
I can see how that would work together.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, Alison, thank you so much for sharing your scrapbooking with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You are more than welcome. Thank you. Excellent. So thank you, everyone. I hope you did enjoy Alison's demonstration of a scrapbook. And like we said, the great thing about paper crafting is those techniques could just as easily be applied to card making, to art journaling with something you wanted to put on the wall, because they're just using those same basic techniques and those same basic craft products. So if you would like to get in touch with Alison, her link will be somewhere near this video. So please reach out, say hello. Like we said, any questions, pop them in the comments and we will do our very best to answer them. And we appreciate you for joining us today with Plan C, conversations about craft, creativity and connection. So we hope you have a crafty day.